Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be watching us in today's video. This is actually part of our upper limb series of lectures, but the brachial plexus, being a complex yet simple structure at the same time, deserves a separate section on its own. If this lecture has only one takeaway, then it should be this slide. This is a simplified schematic of the brachial plexus and its main components. The brachial plexus can be divided into five main parts, starting off with the roots of C5, C6, C7, C8, and T1. The roots coalesce or simply continue, as is the case with C7 roots, into the trunks. The trunks are superior, middle, and inferior trunks. And then the trunks combine with each other into divisions, which are either just anterior or posterior. The divisions continue still into three chords. The chords are lateral, posterior, and the medial chords, or LPM. Finally, each of these chords give off their terminal branches, which are as follows: the musculocutaneous nerve, the axillary nerve, the median nerve, the radial nerve, and finally, the ulnar nerve, the different branches of the chords of the brachial plexus. To remember the five main components of the brachial plexus, we can adopt the following mnemonic: Richard trunks, drinks, coffee, black. Like most of us, right? R stands for the roots, T for the trunks, D for the divisions, C for the chords, and finally B for the branches. That was the simplified schematic, which may be enough for now, but we will now go into the details of the brachial plexus. The brachial plexus is formed by the ventral primary rami of the lower four cervical nerves, C5, C6, C7, C8, and the first thoracic nerve, T1. The brachial plexus has roots that pass between the scalenus anterior and the medius muscles. The brachial plexus is enclosed together with the axillary artery and vein in the axillary sheath, which is formed by a prolongation of the prevertebral fascia. And these are the following subdivisions of the brachial plexus. We have already mentioned that there are five roots for the brachial plexus: the C5, C6, C7, C8, and T1 roots. But these roots actually give off some branches as well. Specifically, the C5 root gives rise to the dorsal scapular nerve. The dorsal scapular nerve pierces the scalenus medius muscle to reach the posterior cervical triangle, and it descends deep to the levator scapulae and the rhomboid minor and major muscles. The dorsal scapular nerve, after coming off the C5 root, innervates the rhomboids and frequently the levator scapulae as well. The roots C5, C6, and C7, all three together, also give rise to the long thoracic nerve, which we can see here descending behind the other roots. The long thoracic nerve is given off by C5, C6, and C7 roots. The long thoracic nerve descends behind the brachial plexus and it runs on the external surface of the serratus anterior muscle, which it supplies. The roots continue on as the trunks. Specifically, the C5 and C6 roots coalesce to form the superior trunk. The C7 root continues alone as the middle trunk, and C8 and T1 roots combine to form the inferior trunk. The superior trunk, a combination from the C5 and C6 roots. The middle trunk, which is simply a continuation of the C7 root, and the inferior trunk, which is a combination of the C8 and T1 roots. Of note here is that the upper or the superior trunk gives off two important nerves. The first, as we can see here, is the suprascapular nerve. The suprascapular nerve. It runs laterally across the posterior cervical triangle, and it passes through the scapular notch under the superior transverse scapular ligament. The suprascapular nerve supplies the supraspinatus muscle and the shoulder joint, and then it will descend through the notch of the scapular neck to innervate the infraspinatus muscle. So we remember that the suprascapular nerve innervates both the supraspinatus and the infraspinatus. Another important nerve coming off the superior trunk is the nerve to the subclavius, which we can see here. The nerve to the subclavius, it descends in front of the brachial plexus and the subclavian artery and behind the clavicle to reach the, as the namesake implies, subclavius muscle. But aside from innervating the subclavius muscle, the nerve to the subclavius also innervates the sternoclavicular joint. The trunks of the brachial plexus continue on as divisions, which are simply either anterior or posterior divisions, depending on their anatomic location. We note that the divisions themselves do not give off any terminal branches or any nerves. The divisions, in turn, continue on as three main cords of the brachial plexus. The three main cords of the brachial plexus are the lateral cord, the posterior cord over here, and finally the medial cord. Our mnemonic for the chords is LPM, the lateral, posterior, and the medial chords. Now, the chords, unlike the divisions, do give off this time several branches. For example, the lateral pectoral nerve, as shown here, emanates from the lateral cord, specifically C5 to C7. The lateral pectoral nerve innervates the pectoralis major muscle and also supplies the pectoralis minor using a nerve loop. The lateral pectoral nerve also sends a branch over the first part of the axillary artery to the medial pectoral nerve and forms a nerve loop through which the lateral pectoral nerve conveys motor fibers to the pectoralis minor. The lateral pectoral nerve pierces the costocoracoid membrane of the clavipectoral fascia, and it is also accompanied by the pectoral branch of the thoracoacromial artery. Another important branch from the lateral cord is the musculocutaneous nerve. The musculocutaneous nerve also originating from C5 to C7. The musculocutaneous nerve over here will eventually pierce the coracobrachialis muscle, and it will descend between the biceps brachii and the brachialis muscles. And it will innervate these three muscles. The musculocutaneous nerve, to recall, will innervate the coracobrachialis muscle, which it pierces, and also the biceps brachii and the brachialis muscles. Next, we examine the branches from the medial cord over here, which are four branches from the medial cord. It is easy to remember the branches from the medial cord because they all start with the word medial except for the ulnar nerve. First, the medial pectoral nerve over here. The medial pectoral nerve passes forward between the axillary artery and vein and forms a loop in front of the axillary artery with the lateral pectoral nerve. The medial pectoral nerve enters and supplies the pectoralis minor and reaches the overlying pectoralis major muscle. The next branch from the medial cord is the medial brachial cutaneous nerve. The medial brachial cutaneous nerve runs along the medial side of the axillary vein. It will innervate the skin on the medial side of the arm, and it can also communicate with the intercostobrachial nerve, which arises as a lateral branch of the second intercostal nerve. Adjacent to it is the medial antebrachial cutaneous nerve. The medial antebrachial cutaneous nerve, which runs between the axillary artery and vein and then runs medially to the brachial artery. The medial antebrachial cutaneous nerve will innervate the skin on the medial side of the forearm. Finally, the exception to the medials, the final and fourth branch from the medial cord is the ulnar nerve. The ulnar nerve runs down the medial aspect of the arm, but it does not branch in the brachium. The four branches from the medial cord. The median nerve is special because it is a branch from both the medial and lateral cords when they coalesce. Because of this, the median nerve traces its origins to C5 to T1. The median nerve runs down the anteromedial aspect of the arm, but it does not branch in the brachium. Finally, the branches from the posterior cord over here. The posterior cord has 5 branches. Again, to review, the lateral cord has 2 branches. The medial cord has 4, whereas the posterior cord has the most branches, 5. Let us start with the upper subscapular nerve over here. The upper subscapular nerve innervates the upper portion of the subscapularis muscle. The upper subscapular nerve traces its origins from C5 to C6. Next, the thoracodorsal nerve over here. The thoracodorsal nerve runs behind the axillary artery and accompanies the thoracodorsal artery to enter the latissimus dorsi muscle. The thoracodorsal nerve traces its origin to C7 to C8 roots. Next, the lower subscapular nerve. The lower subscapular nerve innervates the lower part of the subscapularis and the teres major muscles, and it runs downward behind the subscapular vessels to the teres major muscle. The lower subscapular nerve traces its origins to the C5 to C6 roots. Next, we move here to the fourth branch of the posterior cord, the axillary nerve. The axillary nerve traces its origins to C5 to C6 roots. It innervates the deltoid and the teres minor muscles and gives rise to the lateral brachial cutaneous nerve. The axillary nerve passes posteriorly through the quadrangular space accompanied by the posterior circumflex humeral artery, and it will wind around the surgical neck of the humerus, which is why should there be a fracture of the surgical neck of the humerus, the axillary nerve may also be compromised. Finally, the fifth branch of the posterior cord of the brachial plexus the radial nerve. The radial nerve, just like the median nerve, which we previously discussed, has its origins from all of the nerve roots, from C5 to T1. The radial nerve, over here, is the largest branch of the brachial plexus, and it occupies the musculospiral groove on the back of the humerus with the profunda brachii artery. The radial nerve, the largest branch of the brachial plexus. Let us go back to this simplified schema of the brachial plexus before we end this brief lecture. Again, we recall that everything starts with the five roots: C5, C6, C7, C8, and T1. C5 and C6 coalesce to form the superior trunk. C7 continues alone as the middle trunk, and C8 to T1 coalesce as the inferior trunk. The tree trunks continue on as anterior and posterior divisions, which is simply a function of their anatomic location. The divisions do not give off any branches, but simply continue on as one of three chords: the lateral, posterior, and the medial chords. Finally, each of these chords gives off different terminal nerve branches. We remember that there is actually more than what is mentioned here in the schema. Specifically, the lateral cord gives off two branches. The posterior cord has the most branches, five, and the medial cord has four branches. That's it for the brachial plexus. We simultaneously looked at it from a simplified point of view and a detailed manner as well. Thank you and stay safe, everyone.